About 8 years ago, a Category 2 hurricane brushed the coast of Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula with maximum sustained wind speeds of 105 miles per hour. Having already swept through Honduras and Nicaragua as a tropical storm, it would turn again to impact Cuba and the Florida Keys before finally dissipating. This was Hurricane Paula in 2010, and despite making landfall in many communities around the Caribbean, it only caused one direct death and only damaged an estimated 19 homes. Recently, we know that Hurricane Florence made landfall along the Carolina coast in the United States. Warnings were issued for around 2 million residents. The governor of the U.S. state of North Carolina even told residents who had ridden out hurricanes before that Florence would be different, and rightfully so. As of September 18th, Florence killed at least 32 people and caused anywhere from $17 to $22 billion in damages. Yet 2 days before its landfall, Florence weakened from a Category 4 all the way to a Category 2 hurricane, and on the morning of September 13th, 2018, as the first storms reached North Carolina, the maximum sustained wind speeds were recorded at 105 miles per hour, the same wind speeds that Hurricane Paula generated at its peak strength in the Caribbean. So what was really so different? After all, weren't both hurricanes Category 2 in areas populated by millions of people? What made Florence such a more devastating storm? Category is only one way of understanding a hurricane's effects. Hurricane category, as we know it in the United States, comes from the Saffir-Simpson Hurricane Wind Scale, which is used by the National Hurricane Center. Each of 5 categories are based on the maximum sustained wind speed of the hurricane in the bands of thunderstorms around its center, or eye. This is often determined by aircraft flying in the hurricane itself. In order to prevent large gusts in any one place from giving inaccurate data, the average of several wind speed measurements are used to determine what the maximum sustained wind speeds are. Now, as the National Hurricane Center emphasizes when describing the scale, it is strictly a measurement of wind speed, and it's intended to be used as an indicator of property damage that might occur due to those maximum winds. However, maximum wind isn't the only dangerous effect that's caused by hurricanes. You have to look at more than that if you want to get a better idea of what impact a hurricane is going to have on human lives and property, including storm surge, rainfall amounts, and the physical features of the coastline that's being struck. First, storm surge is mainly driven by strong winds blowing ocean water onshore, but that doesn't necessarily mean that a low-category hurricane will have low storm surges. This is because it doesn't just matter how strong winds are at the eye of the hurricane, but how strong winds are throughout the storm. Even though Paula and Florence were both Category 2, Paula was a much smaller hurricane. The area where Paula delivered tropical storm-force winds in excess of 38 miles per hour, was just 100 miles wide. With Florence, this area was around 500 miles in width. This meant that Florence delivered storm surge over a much larger area. Tides can also impact how a storm surge is felt. With Florence, high tide on September 13, 2018 was around 11 p.m., just an hour after Florence made landfall. The Carolina coast is also shallow, meaning that winds could blow more water onto the shore than they could in areas where the ocean depth just off the coast is deeper or drops off more quickly. Meanwhile, Paula was classed as a hurricane when it was in the Gulf of Mexico, not when it actually made landfall in Central America or Cuba, meaning that the full weight of a potential storm surge wasn't felt in the communities it impacted. As a result, even if they had similar winds near their eye, Florence could deliver more wind damage and more rainfall to a wider area than Paula could. And this was a major impact unique to Florence, not only flooding coastlines with large storm surges, but also bringing high amounts of rainfall to areas far inland to make flooding downstream much worse. And all of this wasn't explained by a hurricane category alone.